Yes people, how are you all doing? It's Ashton here, the new boy on the block. You know, these PC lobbies are not ready for this man. Pub stompers, pred players, pro players, they are all quaking at their boots at the sight of this man on PC. I may have moved to PC, but for the purpose of this video, I'm going to show you my rank on Xbox, so just to prove I am a pred player, the title is not clickbait, I swear. Quickly before we get into the video, over 87% of you guys who watch my videos are not yet subscribed to the channel. It's an outrage, I'm absolutely furious. So if you are new around here, or if you just haven't got around to it yet, then please don't forget to subscribe to the channel and like the videos if you do enjoy them. Without further ado, we're going to start off with our first tier in this tier list, right directly at the bottom of the list. And of course that is going to be the Spitfire tier. Now, technically, the Spitfire should be S tier. We all know it's really stupidly, dumbly, is that a word, dumbly? Anyway, it's stupidly strong, and I think everyone hates fighting against this gun, but low-key, everyone kinda likes using it, but not me. I hate it. I hate this gun, and if you use this gun, you are a very, very naughty person indeed. In fact, you know what, we're gonna rename this tier to Gremlin tier. So, to start off the tier list, the Spitfire is in Gremlin tier. Now in the actual F tier, we're going to go with one gun this time round. Unlike every other season, we've always had two guns in the F tier, but this time, no, just the one. And that is going to be the P2020. In my opinion, this now takes the crown as the worst weapon in the game, which is strange considering they buffed the base damage of the P20 this season up into 18 damage per shot. Pretty decent compared to what it used to be. With that being said, the fire rate of the P2020 has been capped at a lot lower of a rate, so you can't quite spam it as much as you used to be able to. And of course, everyone's favourite hop-up hammer points has been removed from the game. I loved it on the P20 personally, but now it's gone, so I just never pick up this thing. Like, if it's on the floor at the start of a game and I have nothing, I still don't pick it up. Up from F tier into the D tier because we missed the E tier because egg. I've actually decided to go with the Mozambique in this tier. First of all, it's actually not that bad anymore, but the fact you need a purple shotgun bolt on it to make it usable at all is a bit much, and I'm not gonna lie, I would still use any of the other shotguns over it, but it's actually low-key alright. It's kind of usable now. I enjoy it over the P20, that's for sure. And I've also gone with the 30-30 repeater. Now this is a little bit harsh because shatter caps on this weapon does make it actually really strong. I actually love using it, but overall as a base weapon, it's just not it for me. I mean, the lead you have to have on this thing in order to hit your shots at range, which is what it's designed for, it's really hard to account for, and I don't think many people enjoy using it, especially over some of the other options you have in the marksman class. So for me, yeah, D tier, absolute best D tier, but with shatter caps, we can talk. Up into the C tier, and we've got three weapons in this tier this time round. First of all, I've gone with the RE45. It's actually a really fun gun to use. I actually love using it. The recoil control is super easy, and it feels like it melts people. For me though, again, I just think there are better weapons in this category, and I don't think people run around with RE45 as a buy choice. It is one of those guns that you're happy to get at the start of the game, but later on you're probably looking to switch it out, especially when you think about the lack of range this thing offers you. It's great at close range, but anything further than that, and you're not really enjoying it. I've also gone with the Longbow. For me, this has to be the worst sniper in the game right now, especially now that Skull Piercer has been removed. Now, obviously they did increase the base headshot damage multiplier for it to compensate. It's just not enough for me, especially when you look at the likes of the Sentinel, which has a new hop-up, making it really, really strong. The charge rifle is hit scan, and you know, just in general, I do think the Longbow is probably the weakest of the snipers in my opinion. And then I've actually also gone with the Devotion. Now, this may be somewhat controversial given that with a turbocharger, the Devotion is actually kinda naughty. Regardless of that, I think the fact that you need a gold hop-up to make this gun usable is a definite downside, especially when the Devotion is so rare to find on the floor as it is. To give it the credit it deserves, it does absolutely shred people if you manage to spin it up, but for me it's not even that usable at mid-range. Honestly, for a LMG I expect a little bit more, and there's too many prerequisites to make this gun actually useful, so for me, C tier is the best I can do for the Devotion. Up and into the B tier, the first gun we're going to be talking about is the Hemlock. A gun that has rightfully been nerfed over the past couple of seasons. I mean, This thing was outrageous a couple of seasons ago with its fire rate and damage, but now it has been nerfed to a point where it is actually okay. It's not oppressive anymore, but it is certainly very usable. You hit a couple of bursts in a row and your target is gonna feel it. It's certainly a gun that is useful at the ranges that it is intended for, especially when you look at that single fire mode that everyone knows about is actually quite usable and quite fun. So actually the Hemlock for me, solid gun, B tier material, definitely a gun I'm not too mad about if I have to use it. We also find the Sentinel in B tier. This gun is only getting better, I swear. Now I have to say, my favourite version of the Sentinel was the version in which when you charged it up, it could one-tap people's shields. I mean, that was so much fun to use. But now we find ourselves with a different version of the Sentinel, one which can use a hop-up, Deadeye's Tempo. Now this actually changes the Sentinel so much. I love being able to rapidly fire it, 70 damage per uncharged shot. That is actually quite good, especially if you have a keen eye and are going to be hitting those shots. And if it's charged up and you have Deadeye's Tempo, you're going to be dropping people really quick. The Havoc is going to be alongside the Sentinel. I think it is a better version of the Devo. Whilst it doesn't have the same ammo capacity, I do find it to be slightly more controllable and usable at that mid-range at which it's intended for, and the DPS on this thing is really high, so you're going to be shredding people pretty quick, and it only gets better with a turbocharger. That said, I don't think the Havoc relies so much on the turbocharger as much as the Devotion does, so that's why it's a tier above up in B. I've put the Alternator alongside it in B tier, and honestly, I could have easily put the Alternator in A tier, but I just don't think it's quite proven itself over the longevity of the past few seasons as much as other guns have to be A tier or above. So for me, it does stay in the B tier, but what a come up the Alternator has had. It was hit down in Season 2 after Disruptors were removed, but over the courses of the season since, it's only gotten better, and now I really do feel like it is a good, usable light SMG. It really does hit people hard if you can hit your shots, so definitely give it a try if you haven't already. And to round up the B tier, we've gone with the Mastiff, a gun which is often overlooked in favour of the PK and the EVA 8, and honestly, it probably should be. I don't think it's quite as good as either of those guns in comparison at close range, but that being said, I do find it to be slightly more consistent than the Peacekeeper, but I suppose that all comes down to how often you're hitting your shots. Up now into the A tier, and we have a bunch of weapons, starting off with the Charge Rifle. This thing is up in A tier because of how easy it is to use and how much potential damage output you have. I mean, when you catch people with a Charge Rifle, they often have nowhere to go and don't know what to do. You hit them with 2 or 3 charged shots, they are going to be hurting bad, if not dead. I put it in A tier over the Longbow or the Sentinel just because of how easy it is to use by comparison and the damage output being higher if you actually hit those shots. I know it uses up more ammo, but I do think that is a small price to pay for having such an easy to use weapon. Alongside the Charge Rifle, I've gone with the Flatline, a gun which I very easily could have put into the S tier, but after consideration, I do find it to be less usable at mid to long range than the R301. Now the Flatline is undoubtedly up there with the best weapons in the game, that's why it's in A tier to begin with. I mean, all of these weapons are vastly usable and very strong, especially when partnered alongside an R301 or a Volt or an R99. This thing is super strong, especially up close as well with that purple extended light mag, the hipfire, super easy to hit. This thing is not to be messed with at all. I put the G7 Scout up in A tier as well. Not many changes to this gun over the past couple of seasons, although it has been nerfed many times in its lifespan. It's still up in A tier. I mean, it is the marksman rifle of choice, the light ammo marksman rifle. I mean, what else are you going to pick for those long to medium range exchanges where you don't really want to run a sniper? It's just not viable for you at that time, but you do want to have a bit of range. I mean, the Scout is that perfect weapon. You can use it up close if you absolutely have to. I mean, it's not the most reliable, but often it gets the job done. The Bocek is actually down in A tier as well, and this is a strange choice because at the start of the season, I was absolutely convinced this was the most broken thing in the world, and it was gonna be in S tier, but I left it a little bit to let those post-update patches come in, and of course it was hit down very fast. The damage was lowered, and now it's not quite as obnoxious as it was. everyone's not picking up a bow check anymore, thank God, but it is still very strong when people use it effectively, especially with the Deadeye's tempo. I mean, sometimes you're getting bowed and you don't even know where it's from, it's so quiet, and a skilled marksman is gonna absolutely drop you with this thing. It's a ton of fun to use, and I think it's an A tier weapon. Maybe the gun I'm most surprised to be talking about as an A tier weapon though has to go to the L-Star. Thank you to whoever popularized this thing, especially in arenas. I mean, the L-Star is actually quite good. The recoil control pattern on this thing is super easy to learn, so you can use it with a 1, 2 times, or I've seen people even use a 3 times on this thing and absolutely laser people. So honestly, if you haven't already, give it a try. It's super cheap in arenas, so that's probably the best place to learn it, and probably where it's most effective, as it's a cheap option to use in that game mode. Next up, I've gone with the R99. Yes, I know, again, not S tier, I've put it down in A tier, which may hurt a few people, but honestly, this gun is just not as easy to use as some of the options in S tier. I mean, it hits hard when you hit all of your shots. That's the beauty of the R99, it rewards people with good accuracy. But that's the thing that keeps it down in A tier, is that you need to be a somewhat competent player to get the most out of the R99. Where by comparison there are guns in the S tier which maybe you don't have to be quite as good at to get the full potential out of it. So I love the R99, I think it's absolutely amazing, I know so many people do. I just can't justify moving it to S tier when there's that skill level needed to be good with it. I've also gone for the Peacekeeper in A tier as well. Everyone knows the damage potential of this gun. You can get hit by it pretty hard in one shot if you're unlucky. I mean, it can deal up to over 100 damage per shot if you're lucky and hit all of those pellets at super close range. But that's the thing, the consistency for this thing isn't great because the chances of you hitting a big shot are pretty slim, honestly, and although it can still drop people in 2 to 3 pumps most of the time, sometimes you're going to be hitting for 7s and 12s and such, and honestly, no one likes that, so I can't put it S tier because of the consistency, and honestly, I think that's a good thing. I don't think people liked it very much when this thing was meta and was 2-tapping people all the time, but it is still super strong and a viable shotgun 100%, and I don't think you should mess with someone at close range if they've got one of these things charged up in your face. And last but not least, the Wingman, and I'm going to put that one in A tier as well. Of course, like, it is always a really good gun, the Wingman, but with Skull Piercer removed, oof, it came close to dropping down. But Quick Draw is actually a decent hop-up, luckily, and honestly, you don't even really need it for the Wingman to be good. I mean, it's, again, like the R99, a gun with so much damage potential if you're good at hitting your shots, but that's what keeps it out of S tiers, because it's not so easy to use. The S tier weapons are all super easy to use and very strong, but the Wingman was exceptionally strong, like really good. Everyone knows how good the Wingman can be. It just doesn't have that easy to use factor, and that's what just keeps it down here for me for now. But I'm a huge Wingman fan, I know you guys are too. Let's just be happy with A tier for now. And that's going to leave us with the S tier, the top tier of weapons. We have 3 base weapons in here and all of the care package weapons. Now, I'm not going to be talking too much about the care package weapons because they are care package weapons for a reason, and that's why they're S tier. I mean, they're some of the strongest guns in the game. I don't really need to go over that. But for the 3 base guns in the S tier, I've gone firstly with the EVA 8 shotgun. I mean, this thing is the meta shotgun this season. You can hose people down with this thing so easily, especially when you get that purple shotgun bolt. But 60 damage consistently with the EVA 8. I mean, that doesn't mean it can't hit for less, it certainly can, but you're going to find yourself hitting more 60s than with any other shotgun. When that fire rate is increased with a shotgun bolt, the rate at which you can deal out damage is so fast, it's often so overwhelming for enemies. And when partnered alongside the R301, one of the other guns in the S tier, I mean, what a combination. The R301, again, consistently coming in at S tier. It's so easy to use, feels so good to use, and it's just the best assault rifle for close range, medium range, and long range. It is the perfect gun, and honestly, my favorite gun in the game. And the meta best SMG in the game is going to be the Volt, of course. Like, if you haven't already worked this out, the Volt SMG is the best. The fire rate, very good, controllable, very controllable, and deals out some great damage as well, even post nerf. This thing is still the king of SMGs. It's so much easier to use than the R99 as well. And I think all of you will agree in saying that the Vault does have the crown right now. But what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments section below what you thought of the tier list. I love to hear your guys' opinions. Like the video and subscribe to the channel for more regular Apex Legends content from myself. But until next time, guys, it has been your boy Ashton, and I'll see you in the next one. Take it easy and goodbye.